righty. The 3 o'clock hour is upon us. I'm Chair Greeno, here with the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission. I'm going to call this meeting to order. Let's pledge allegiance to the flag of our great nation. And begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and justice.
At this time, can we take the roll?
Commissioner Altman,
Here.
Borges, and Dooley,
Here.
Howard,
Here.
Short,
Here.
Greeno.
Here.
Thank you.
At this time, we are going to open up our public comment period. Anyone wishing to make public comments regarding matters either on or off the agenda and within the Commission's jurisdiction may do so at this time. However, the Commission is not permitted to act on non-agendized items. Is there any public comment at this time? Seeing no public, no comments. We'll move on. At this time, we'll adjourn to the Policy Advisory Committee. We have some consent agenda items to look at. These our items are routine in nature and voted on by one motion. We have the minutes from March 12th, 2025, and a resolution authorizing executive director to execute documents and administer the Regional Surface Transportation Program exchange.
Motion approved, Mr. Chairman.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Howard and a second by Commissioner Short. Is there any discussion on these items? Anyone want to pull anything? No? Okay. Any public comment on this? Seeing no public comment, we'll bring it back to the board for a vote.
Oh, that's me. Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Borges, absent, Dooley,
Yes.
Greeno,
Here, yes.
Howard,
Yes.
and Short.
Yes.
Okay.
If you didn't notice, I'm still here.
Oh, and Policy Advisory Member Tasha Allstrand.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, great. Thank you.
No problem. All right, moving on to policy administration portion of our agenda, 2025 through 2026 overall work program.
And a long time in coming.
Yep.
This overall work program has been a challenge this year, and we went through the process in detail, but we have a new commissioner. I'm going to go over it a little bit again just to make sure that everybody's voting understands. So the overall work program is the work of the Transportation Commission, and it's the work for 1 year, sometimes 1+ years if we have funding carrying over into a future fiscal year. But it's the commitment from me to the community and you that this is the work that will be delivered. And so when folks ask, what does the Transportation Commission do anyway? You can pull up the overall work program and say, well, this is what they're doing for our community this year. And on my website, you have some past years. You can give them my email, but this is the work of the commission for 1 year. And it's detailed. It can get complicated with the different funding sources. It's state, and in this case, state and federally funded. So there's some things that can get a little bit messy administratively, coming and going with all of the rules and guidelines for the different funding sources. There's a lot of inflexibility with the work program. We can't just, if somebody asks, can't you just, whatever? The answer is probably no, because it's complicated. We'll be amending the overall work program most likely in September. And there's an additional $85,000 in this work program from the last time that you looked at it. It was a lot more than we anticipated, but the $85,000 is going forward. So our overall work program going forward we'll have that additional $85,315 instead of $230,000, but it's not indexed. So I don't know what it's going to take to have the rural counties planning funds be indexed in a similar way to the urban areas, but they're not right now. So while I'm grateful for the $85,000, we really need it. We didn't have as much time as I wish from the announcement of the $85,000 to the time that this draft was due to Caltrans. So typically, I would take that $85,000, completely redo my overall work program, bring it to the TAC, bring it to the commission, submit it to Caltrans. We didn't do that this year. I took the $85,000 and I called some of our project partners. I took a look at the lists that we've been creating, and I had a meeting with the county. And the county said, this is what we really need. And if we had planning funding with our guardrail funds, then we could build more guardrail and complete the planning element with planning funds rather than with the Highway Safety Improvement Program funds. And everybody agreed to this. The TAC took a look at this overall work program a week ago, and they unanimously supported moving forward with this. I was very confident, but I want all of you to know that it was a little bit different because of the later than expected notice for additional funds. And then we still have to make those timing deadlines that the state has for the draft, bringing it back, getting it revised, getting it to everybody, moving it forward. So we're doing okay on timing right now. I think we're going in a good direction. The county could really use these funds because then it extends the amount of construction work that they can do with their Highway Safety Improvement Program, or HSIP funding. And so that's if you were to compare it to the last time you saw that, this is going to be the big change in it, is using that additional $85,000 to help fund the county's project.
I have a quick question.
Sure.
Do you know where those funds came from? Was it just extra allocation in the state's budget, or was it a specific bill or tax that created that excess?
The planning program, the planning funds, the regional planning assistance funds, or RPA funds, are the primary funds that fund planning work for rural regions, and they are state funds. So there are some regions that use up all their planning funds all the time. If we didn't have the transit grant that Joe Rye is working on delivering right now, we would have been in a world of hurt. We did, on our regional transportation plan update, we did an update light. We didn't do we did the $100,000 project, not the $180,000 planning project, which it really, to meet all the criteria, it could use that. And so the next cycle that we do, the regional transportation plan update, it's going to be different. And it's going to be different because I have some different ideas about how to move it forward. But that's a conversation for next year. It's not going to be less expensive. It's just going to be the same cost spread out. So we don't have that big project, and then that detracts from some of the regular work that we need to keep doing, and special projects like we do in this overall work program. We have a project for the city and for the county, specifically in this work program. So it's state funds, and the California Transportation Commission staff goes back and says, listen, they have a significant disadvantage because urban areas have been having planning funds increases, and they haven't had one from since 2014. We can't keep up, and so we can't compete. If you can't keep up with your first step, which is what the planning is, it's just the first step. But if you cannot take that first step, then you cannot move forward. And so it's a big help for us to have that additional 85,000. It doesn't backfill, it doesn't, take care of the loss of additional funding for the last 10 years. But it's much appreciated, and I'm hoping at some point it can be indexed or, reconsidered more often than in 10-year spans going forward, because I don't know anybody else who's working on a 2014 budget. I'm not in my own house. I not groceries, not anywhere. So it's much appreciated. Transit really, I don't want to say saved us, but they really did save us by applying for and receiving. Thank you, Tasha, for the good advocacy on that, because she really did work hard with transit to get those funds over to them. We really needed it for the short-range transit plan. The Transportation Commission typically funds the transit plans for transit in the same way that we fund planning for our partner agencies. But we couldn't do it. And so Joe Rye and his team applied for and received that transit plan grant. And it's a huge grant for transit planning, and I'm grateful for it. If we don't do our planning work, then we lose eligibility for funding sources. If we don't do our regional transportation plan on time, we go into the doghouse probably for a while, and then we get, to our TPA jail at some point. But the work that we do keeps our partnership organizations eligible for funding. And like with the South Beach project that we're going to be wrapping up in the next month and a half, it opens the door for Caltrans to continue to work on this problem on the state highway system. It's that first necessary step.
Does anyone else on the commission have any questions or comments? No? So this is just one-time monies for this year, or it's planned to continue?
I expect it to continue into the future, the additional 85,000.
Oh, very good.
So our new total, it used to be 230, it's now 315, and it's expected to be continued into the future. We will receive a notice sometime next fall, maybe later, that this indeed is moving forward. We can't adopt our work program until we have an affirmation that this money is there, but it's anticipated to keep in our budget. So our new RPA budget amount, in my thinking, is the 315 and no longer the 230.
Okay.
I see Tasha nodding her head in affirmation, I believe. Is yeah.
Yeah, that is the expectation. And from what I hear, for future increases, just continuing to advocate through the Rural Counties Task Force for additional future increases.
Okay, very good. All right, well, if there isn't any further questions or comments, I'll accept a motion to adopt this resolution.
I will move we adopt resolution 2025-3, approving the 2025-26 overall work program.
We have a motion, and do we have a second?
Second.
All right. We have a motion and a second. Is there any public comment on this? No public, no comment. Bring it back to the board for a vote.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dooley,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Policy Advisory Member Allstrand, and Chair Greeno.
Yes, thank you. All right, moving on to the next item, item D on our agenda here. It's discussion items. AB 830 is our first one.
I can start while I'm scrolling. This topic of this Assembly Bill 830 primarily came to my attention in an RTPA committee meeting, team meeting, working meeting that we have with District 1 team, Caltrans District 1 team quarterly. And it came about by a situation that is happening in Mendocino County. And they have a very small utility district that runs along the state highway system. And this utility district, it was responsible by statute to pay for the relocation of the utilities when the highway needs to be improved. And this was with an ADA project and pedestrian facilities. So, you identify an ADA project, you must move forward with it. And it's much needed. It was in the Hopland area, I believe. And so they really found themselves in a bind with a few hundred ratepayers. They're really stuck. So I contacted Randy with the county, and I don't know if he's brought this to the board yet, but he was going to bring this, he is going to, if he hasn't already, brought it to the county supervisors to support this assembly bill. But it's important for us. We also have small utility districts which could be impacted by projects on the state highway system, and a project like this could sink them. And so Randy Hopper is getting together a support, well, he's gotten together, I've seen it, we reviewed it together, a support letter for this, but it's important. And the Transportation Commission, I don't lobby, but the county lobbies. I would encourage the city to take a look at it and consider supporting this also. I can have some communication with Eric or whoever you prefer on this, if you'd like for me to bring that forward to him. But the bill is written in a way that it's 5,000 ratepayers. Well, that includes the city doesn't have more than 5,000 ratepayers. It doesn't have more than 5,000 residents. So if there were a project on Highway 101 going through the city of Crescent City, this is all very possible. Instead of it being the city's burden to pay for the utilities being moved because of the project on 101, it could be the responsibility of Caltrans. And so it doesn't put an undue burden for the state highway system on fewer than 5,000 utility ratepayers. That's what they're looking at. That's what they're covering with this bill. And given that I worked with Randy on drafting this letter, I thought I should put it on the discussion topic here so you all have an idea about what it is.
So are you looking for us to potentially have a letter drafted by this commission to support it? No.
Nope. We don't lobby.
Oh, okay.
I don't lobby. If I were to, and some RTPAs, Regional Transportation Planning Agencies, which is the collective group for us, some of them do lobby. The only way that you can have staff lobby is to pay for it with your local transportation fund, LTF fund, and that pulls the money from transit and puts it into lobbying. And we have a better solution than that. The solution is for me to bring a concern to the attention of the city and county who do lobby.
Sure.
And then you can move it forward. But I'm not comfortable diverting money from transit for lobbying purposes, given the size of us. I'm not being critical for others who do. I don't recommend it for us. We haven't done it. And I would not recommend that we do that. The transit needs all the money that they have, and then some.
Gotcha. Well, I would be all in favor to have you contact City Manager Weir.
Okay.
And then we'll have the discussion on the city level.
Yeah, I'm confident. You brought it to Randy's attention. We'll
Yeah.
be seeing it on the agenda. I'm pretty confident. So
Okay.
thank you for letting us know.
Yeah, thank you.
And then the South Beach Climate Resilience Plan, we just figured out the date for that meeting. That's May 22nd at 6 p.m., and that's an online meeting. So you can all do that from the comfort of your homes. And that's our final public meeting, a public meeting sharing our conclusions, sharing the document, and a question and answer session at the end about the South Beach Climate Resilience Plan and wrapping that up. That final document is still being reviewed. It will be looked at again by the TAC on the 27th with what I anticipate is a recommendation for the commission to approve it, and that will happen in our May 3rd meeting. So I'm confident that we will have a May 3rd meeting for that project. We need to wrap that project up before the end of this fiscal year, before the end of June 30th.
You said May 3rd meeting, is that June 3rd?
Oh,
Is that? I'm just trying to get
I'm maybe in the wrong month. Oh, it's June 3rd.
June
Okay.
3rd.
Yeah.
And the climate resilience plan meeting is the 22nd at what time?
At 6 p.m. online.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a Thursday the 22nd at 6 p.m. online. We are just getting flyers finalized. They will be posted to social media. I will forward them to everybody I know and their brother.
Thank you.
All right.
I am actually going to bundle that, just so you know, the 2025 economic profile is ready to submit. And I've been waiting to share that until I can share it, bundle it with the meeting notice, because everybody opens the profile. So I'm like, not everybody's going to open the meeting notice. And so I'm doing my best to have as much public engagement as possible for that final meeting, allow people to have an explanation for the document and ask any questions they may have.
All right, very good. Does anybody on the commission have anything to add? Okay. Moving on to the succession plan and executive director contracting.
So this is an early notice that
Wow.
that my contract has to be renewed every 5 years. It's mandatory. And that 5-year time ends in a year and a month. And so I have been thinking about succession planning and trying to figure out retirement. And if you know anybody who wants my job, please send them my way. Okay, I would love to be able to work with somebody to have a clean transition, to have somebody to partner with this, beforehand. So just keep it in mind that, if you come across, I think it's, with my job, I think it's equally important for somebody to know the community and to be really committed to raising their hand, being loud. Sometimes I'm loud. And or at least persistent, and to get things moving forward, because things move very slowly and they're very expensive. So it takes a lot of effort sometimes to get even small things to move forward. And you have to have stamina for that. You have to be, basic skills, reading, writing, and arithmetic. I mean, that's for the most part. I don't even do fancy math. I mean, for the most part, I do addition, subtraction, every now and then multiplication and division. It's basic budgeting. And I have Matt to help me out. So, I have CBH as a backup. But it's just, solid basic skills. I could be the advocate for, basic education, reading, writing, and arithmetic. And I don't intend to retire, but I do intend to work less. And I'm finding ways to do that. And so in this next overall work program year, if you were to compare, my work is underfunded per my contract by about $20,000. I don't know if that's going to stick or not, because the work doesn't go away. Part of the reason why I can do that is that we will have finished this planning grant. Thank you. And we will, and the county is going to do its planning work for its Highway Safety Improvement Program project. And they wanted to. I mean, this wasn't a negotiation between the county and me. Sometimes an agency prefers to do their own planning work, and sometimes the city, as an example, prefers for me to be the leader in their planning work, like it is with the active transportation plan update. There's a component of that in this work that is about connecting the California Coastal Trail from Beachfront Park to Preston Island. So we're going to be taking a really close look at that as a part of that active transportation plan. But I'm off topic. But I really am trying to work less so I can continue to be the leader and finding ways to have more support from other folks. Sometimes it will be having the consultant do the quarterly report rather than me doing the quarterly report. That kind of thing where it's like, well, you know, they know where we are too. There's no reason why I have to get in and write that. But I do think that there are good reasons for me to continue to be the Transportation Commission leader going into the future. If somebody came to me tomorrow and said, you know, I really want your job, I would do my best to find a way to work with them. I really would. I mean, not to get too personal, but I can retire at any time. I don't have to keep working, but there are also things I want to see done, like that dang bridge on US 199. I just, you know, I mean, it's all coming along, but there are things that I really just want to see done. And then and then new things come up, and, you know, I don't think that there's ever going to be a time when I can leave this job where I think, oh, I did it, because it's not, there's nothing ending. But I do want to see that dang bridge done. And so, you know, I don't think I'm ready yet. I'm not ready yet. But again, I could get ready faster if somebody came and knocked on my door and said, I really want your job. I would do what I could to work with them to help to try to get them prepared. Now, they would have to apply for the job. You know, they would have to respond to a request for proposals, all of those things. But between now and next June, we're going to have to go through that RFP process, find somebody, me or somebody else, get them hired, get the contract done, and ready for July 1 in a year and 2 months from now. There are some different ways to handle this, but what I think might work well is to have some kind of committee. I think I could start the committee by saying, here are all the ways that I can think of to go through this process, but then I am done helping. I cannot help with the process and apply for the work. Autumn Luna did it last time, and I put her in connection with the people she needed to hear about. When I was hired, Jan Belinsky did it, and she was a Caltrans staff member. She was a little bit in Tasha's role for Caltrans District 1. When I approached them about doing it again, they're like, oh, no, that's not our role. And I can see that. But you know how things change. So if you all have a way that you want to prefer to do it, I'm open to it. We're real early in the conversation, but we can't wait until November to get to this. We won't have it done in time. So I'm bringing it up now. And letting you know that I do intend to apply. We need to move this process forward. I know that Lake and Mendocino County is in the same position. They went through a process with an independent consultant that was very complex. That, you know, when I took a look at the documents and talked to them, you know, the staff who applied for the job that they've been doing for many years, you know, two intelligent, experienced, knowledgeable people, and they were kind of at a loss for even how to answer the questions. And so sorry guys if I'm oversharing, but I want to keep the process more simple than what they experienced. Because if they were having trouble applying, how is that open? You know, somebody from sort of outside the system, if they're having trouble applying, it makes it even more closed. Yeah. So they've got through the process and continued to do the work that they've been doing for several years. But I would prefer for it to be set up in a way where it truly is open, where whoever with the skills and knowledge of whatever sort feels comfortable with the application process and can apply. So this is now, it's by necessity, I have to take a step back. So I've let you all know you have this deadline. I will help in whatever way is allowable. Autumn Luna may be some assistance. I think she's working for the city of Eureka, but I haven't talked to her in a while. I don't know if she would be able or willing to help again. She probably has much, if not all, of the documents from the last cycle. But again, it's a requirement. It's a 5-year contract and it can't be extended. This is within the Caltrans rules and the funding sources that we work with.
Okay.
So fair warning.
Absolutely.
If that magic person were to knock on your door, is there a funding source for an assistant or, an upcoming person?
My contract allows for me to have 40% of my work done by somebody else. So they would be my assistant, not your assistant.
Okay.
I'm an independent contractor, not staff. So you wouldn't have 2 independent contractors. They would be my assistant, not yours. I would still be responsible for delivering the overall work program, just like I have been.
So that person would essentially contract with you.
Right. Yep.
Okay.
We would need to work it out. I would probably fully fund the position at that point rather than underfunding it. But we're going to amend the overall work program in September anyway. And there are ways to do it. I can continue to be the leader without doing all of the work.
Gotcha. Okay.
Sorry, there was a message on the screen that I didn't see. Oh. Tasha, would you like to speak?
My hand up, but I think my question is probably already answered, but I just wondered if there had ever been any discussion of the position not being an independent contractor, since statewide, it's actually pretty rare for it to be an independent contractor position, but that was just for discussion's sake.
So what is the structure everywhere else or statewide?
Well, Del Norte, Mendocino, and Lake, I believe, are the only RTPAs statewide that are independent contractors, and the others positions or RTPAs have gone through the county. Is that correct, Tamara?
Some of them have, but there are a few more. There are a few more than just us 3. Shasta recently became independent of their city or county, and they're more of a blend, but they are completely in it. It's now the Shasta Regional Transportation Agency, SERTA, and they are an independent organization. I don't know how they're structured, how it works. And Dan Little set that up quite a while ago. And I believe there are 1 or 2 others in the state who are independent. It's not just us 3. But the Transportation Commission has been independent since its inception, since Kathy Matthews started the job, 30 years ago? I don't know how long ago that was, quite a while ago. I think that in terms of financing, it works better this way. I know it's intimidating, and for some people it's a barrier because I pay for everything. I pay for my retirement, I pay for my health care, but for me to be added to the county's retirement and health care system, it's so expensive. And so I think that we would have a hard time funding the position in the way that it's funded now, without the flexibility that I have now, 4 hours as an example. I don't always work 40 hours a week. Anybody who signs my time card can see that. But I have an independent contractor rate, and it's a low rate compared to the independent contractors that we higher. I mean, you can see that looking at any of their billing. But it's sustained rate over time. I'm not spending, every now and then I'll do a little project somewhere else. I'm not constrained to only work for the Transportation Commission. And yeah, so I think it works better. It's always worked for us. I don't think it's not working. I wouldn't recommend changing it, but if you wanted to change it, it would be something that you could talk to the city or county about, or set up your own single employee. It puts a lot more of the burden for managing an employee and all of the supports that go into that to the Transportation Commission. You have, office, you have all of those things that, that end up being a financial burden on the Transportation Commission. I could probably have an office in the city or county. Somebody would find a room for me somewhere, whatever. But I think it's also important for the Transportation Commission to be neutral and not appear to be a city partner or a county partner or a tribal partner or whatever, that we are the neutral regional transportation planning agency looking at regional transportation and not considering the jurisdiction. Our priority projects are a priority because they're the most important that we can identify and fund in the region, and we don't take turns. Some agencies take turns. Well, it's the city's turn this year, it's the county's turn this year. We don't do that. It's the tribe's turn this year, whatever. We take a look holistically at what really needs to be done and select the projects that are most urgent and important for the transportation in the region. I think that's important. I think we're too small to be divisive. And yeah, after all of this time, it's always worked. So I don't have any reason to believe it's not going to be working.
Okay. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
I feel like I should apologize. Sorry.
Oh.
It's going to be a bit of work for you, but.
Any thoughts from the rest of the commission? Do you think we need to create an ad hoc committee or? Okay. All right.
Should I put it on the July agenda? You don't have a lot of time. An ad hoc committee, whatever you want to do, but we need to do it in an open public meeting.
Yeah, it should probably be a standing agenda item. July's fine. Okay. Looks like do I have consensus on putting it on the July meeting? Okay, we do. That sounds good.
So that's July 1st at 3 p.m. I don't know that we'll have agenda items then. We'll see.
Okay.
But not the June meeting. So the next meeting following June. That just means you that means you can get appointed to the committee by tradition.
First hour is going to be the first vote.
One of the expertise.
Yep. We can do that.
Okay. Sounds good. All right. If there isn't anything further on this item, we'll move forward. Well, we now will have our Policy Advisory Committee comments. Do we have anything for the good of the order from the board?
I'll update on two items. One, AB 1014, which is an assembly bill carried by Assemblyman Rogers. It's made it through the Transportation Commission unanimously. And we'll go to appropriations soon. If you're not familiar with this bill, it's a bill that will affect mostly small rural counties with a lot of public land where state highway systems run through those rural communities like Hyuchi, Smith River, Gasky, where high rates of speed determined by the 85th percentile continue to move up without any mechanism to back them down. And communities, at least here in Del Norte and Sonoma County and Mendocino County, have taken a lot of issue with the statute as it stands and their inability to lower speed limits when necessary. So it will move to appropriations, we believe, by June and be in Senate transportation by July. That's the first piece. I was contacted also by Caltrans last month with getting a feel for the community's temperature on potential highway closures when 199 goes to construction for the demolition debris removal that needs to take place on various areas like the Narrows and Washington Curve. The position they were taking is to have a 3-day permanent highway closure, which would allow them to get in and get out within a fixed period of time instead of taking weeks upon weeks with long delays, 3 to 4 hours to have the highway open. And so I thought I'd bring it to the attention of the commission to see what everybody's personal opinion might be on this so I could give Caltrans some feedback. My feedback generally to staff was I'd like to see it gotten out of the way with nobody potentially being in danger while they're getting debris exploded and removed.
So you're talking 3 days, a full 72-hour closure, not
That's
open at night.
That's
not-
correct.
How are our commercial partners feeling about that? Can they plan around that, or?
This commercial partner is able to plan around it. We learned how to do that during the August 2023 fire.
Oh,
There are mechanisms to obviously do that. We thought about it from emergency services level, obviously. It would potentially be increased costs associated with air ambulance to Medford.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I think it's
Yeah.
the best plan. I was just
No,
trying to cover all the bases.
Me too. I don't think there's an easy win. Those areas need to be completed. We've been working on this, it seems like, since 2005, Tim. So
So
at this point, 3 days isn't going to kill me.
do,
But it's just me with that opinion.
do we have an idea of when the road is less traversed by commercial vehicles and whatnot?
This,
And are they planning accordingly to
no,
they're
if it goes through a permanent closure for 3 days, it would be a permanent closure for 3 days. All commercial traffic would be.
No, that's what I mean, but do we have an idea of when that road is being utilized
The
most?
heaviest?
The heaviest, and are they planning around
We
that?
actually do. From the studies that took place, we know when the heaviest traffic periods are.
Okay. Well, hopefully they plan for those days that
I think they need
aren't
to,
as, the road isn't as
Yeah.
utilized, so
I
that
understand,
it doesn't
Yeah.
affect a lot of people's businesses.
I understand what you're saying, but they have a very limited window based on environmental
Oh, I see.
constraints, so, and
Okay.
the weather periods in which they could work and safely protect their operators too. So they're going to be fairly restricted when they could do the job.
See.
Would we have a heads up enough to where people
Yeah.
who are seeking medical services, on the other side of the state line?
In my
Making those
experience,
appointments?
Caltrans has been extremely good at communicating months
They do a
in
great job.
advance
That's true.
of any potential closure. And I think it'd behoove us, once we receive that word, is to publicly broadcast it like we normally do through our
Yeah.
various channels.
Okay.
But I still wanted to get your guys' flavor because there is an option to do very long closures during the day.
Do we have an idea of when that's potentially going to be happening?
It could happen as late as September, October.
Okay. Well, the sooner we know, the better, so that we can get
Well, we
it
all-
out to the community.
We all agree. Tasha, do you have an idea? Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that with advance notice, I mean, I have aging parents, elderly parents. Sorry, mom and dad. I have parents in their 80s. Let me be factual and not descriptive. I have parents in their 80s, and they have routine medical in the Medford area. And with enough knowledge, some of those appointments are made months out. You can't accommodate everything. but a last-minute change is very difficult, and getting a replacement appointment. So I think with advance notice, the 72-hour closure, get it done, and then get us moving again. I can't say that we're used to 199 being closed or 101 being closed at last chance, but it's not a new and unusual experience for us either. And
That's true.
yeah, with enough notice, I think as a community, they would understand it, appreciate it, to just be one and done instead of dragging on.
Yeah, I'm okay with it as long as we get pretty decent notice so that we can get it out to the
I could
community.
almost guarantee we'll have really good notice. And then I think between their highway signage, electronic highway signage, and our public broadcasting, we could deliver a message pretty quickly.
Yeah, I agree. That's probably the best course. You're always going to get naysayers.
Oh, yeah.
Somebody's going to disagree, but I think for the most part, people will understand that quickly getting it done is better than dragging it out for months. And
You also had that sneak route through
That
Gold
is true.
Beach, at Gold Beach.
Old Beach, there's also O'Brien too, over there at Patrick Street.
If you want to lock your hubs in.
Well,
It's not that bad.
the Gold Beach route, sneak route is probably a
It'll
bit,
save you
little better.
tires.
But it's, for somebody who knew and really needed to, whatever. That Gold Beach sneak route isn't impossible.
Yeah, that's
Just as easy as O'Brien.
Yep.
All right,
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
no problem. Anyone else have anything for the commission? No? All right. Tasha, do you have anything for us?
Just really fast, I just wanted to say that we recently held meetings, just collaboration, one-on-one meetings, one with the county and one with the city. And they were just really productive, just talking about like how we can collaborate, local development review on the horizon, just big picture topics. And we're just really looking forward to working with the county on their drainage plan. And I just want to commend the city on, they have so much exciting work happening right now. And to have Eric present it to us, it was just really impressive. So just wanted to throw that out there.
All right. Very good. Okay, if there isn't anything further, we'll move on to our action portion of the agenda. We'll adjourn as the Policy Advisory Committee, reconvene as the Del Norte Local Transportation Commission, and by poll vote approve and adopt the work we've done.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
And I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any public comment on this? Seeing no public or comment, we'll bring it back to the board for a vote.
Commissioner Altman,
Yes.
Commissioner Dooley,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard,
Yes.
Commissioner Short,
Yes.
Policy Advisory Member Allstrand. Oh, she doesn't vote on this. And Chair Greeno. Sorry,
Yes.
Tasha.
That's okay.
I'll get better at this job next time.
No problem.
And Susan Brown has resigned.
Oh,
She's been trying to resign for I don't know how long.
Okay.
And she said she will give me a month's notice, and I said, just never mind. You can be done. So I will find a way to figure this out.
okay.
Just,
Well,
we don't have big complicated
Twist
meetings.
her arm a couple of times to get her to stay on.
She's already done with the arm twists.
Well, thank you for taking that extra
Oh, it's,
bit of work on.
yeah.
With that, we will adjourn until a regularly scheduled meeting Tuesday, June 3rd at 3 p.m.